Hello, this is Fred with Gentleman Fred FX, and today we're going to take a look at some of the effects in the Downtown West pack, a pack I collaborated on with PurePolygons, free on the Unreal Marketplace. Now in this pack, I worked on the water and drips for the fountain, some falling leaves, and some air dust. So let's take a look. The first thing we'll need to know is where to find the effects in the pack. So go into Content, Downtown West, VFX, and all the effects are here in the Niagara folder, mainly. We have the emitters and the effects here, systems, as well as the textures, meshes that I used, and some materials. First thing we're going to look at are the blueprints. So double click on the blueprints and you can see we have a fountain off and on. So let's drag and drop that in, see what that is. And you can see this one is the fountain mesh with everything turned off. And then pull in the fountain on. And you can see this one's got a little bit more action in it. You've got some sprays, some splashes, some wibbly waters, pores, things like that. And all you need to do is drag and drop it in whatever scene you want to use it in, and it's good to go. Now the next thing is this tree narrow leaf VFX. This is more of a tree template. I'll show you what I mean. So let's drag and drop that in. And over here on the right, we've got some settings. I've got the base tree settings and the Niagara settings. Now, from the base tree settings, you can change out the tree. So if you were to hit this spyglass here, if you click on any tree, you can just pop it in there like that. And same thing with the effects. So just hit the spyglass. And the way these are set up, you've got a maple and a birch. Birch is narrow, maples are wide. You've got brown, leaves B is brown, leaves G is green, and leaves Y is yellow. So you've got three different sets of leaves here. You can populate whichever one of those you want in there. And as far as the Niagara settings, each one of these particle systems use these settings. So any of the settings you pop in here will have the same settings. And I've only added a handful of controls. I put in a spawn rate minimum and maximum. So what that is it gives you a spread of particles to spawn. So let's say I said minimum of 30 and maximum of 50. Look at the tree, and I've got a bunch more leaves falling out of it. And then also a lifetime minimum and maximum. That's in case you need to move the emitter, which I'll go into next. You can see I've got a little bit of a collision down here. So if you want to make sure that the mesh is flat on the ground, just add in some time there. And this again is a range of 5 to 10 seconds right now, but you can change that to whatever you need. And then lastly, I put in a little widget in here. Let's see if I can find it. It is here. So you can move that down. Depending on where you want the leaves to be as far as center mass on the tree, each tree is different. So in this case, I put that one there. If you wanted to move, say you wanted tree C, it's a bit taller, so you want to move that up. And that's the template for the falling leaves. And that one was called BP Tree Narrow Leaf VFX1. And then the last thing I did is I did some air dust. So go into VFX, Niagara, and NS air dust. Just drag and drop that in here. And the way this is set up, it's meant to be placed on the ground. And there are also a bunch of override parameters in here as well. So as you can see, this has a number of particles in here. I also have a spawn rate minimum and maximum, so you could change that depending on what you need. And now I've got this box size and box offset. Now, the way that works is if you want this to stay on the ground, you're going to need to half the Z. So what I mean is, like, let's say you wanted to make a 2000 by 2000 by 1000. So now you can see this air dust is it's got a lot larger range. But if you move it up, you can see that a bunch of the particles are clipping into the ground. So if we were to make this 500, we're basically bumping up the box so that it sits on the ground. Now I've also added in a lifetime minimum and maximum. And then I have this noise frequency and noise strength. Now the way this works is if you bump up the strength of it, let's say I make it 80, you can see now that the particles are moving through that noise field a little bit, well, a lot faster. And the frequency, the lower you go, the higher it is. So let's say I make this 001. You can see now it's got a wider range. If I make it like 1, it's got a very tight range. So I'm going to set this back to what it was. And then the last, I've got a sprite minimum and maximum. This also will give you a range of size on the sprite. So let's say I make this 20. Let's see, I've got a much larger sprite. Let's make it obvious, 200. So now it's going to give you a range of sprites between 1 and 200. Back. Obviously, that's way too big. It's just more to show you how it looks. And then there's also a velocity minimum and maximum. Right now, it's set in the X range. So let's say you could make it X, Y, and Z depending on what you need it to do. So let's say made it 500. Probably going to be zinging by. So again, this is just a range of values so that you can give it a little bit more range of velocity and interest. And if you want to take a look at the actual particle systems directly, just go into any of these particle systems and double click on them. So we'll open up Niagara, and then you can look at how those are set up here. And that's all I wanted to show you. Thank you very much for watching, and thanks for picking up the pack. Have a good day.